Gloria Glorious, my friends. Welcome to Aniview Reviews. It is I, lead reviewer, Miniman12544 here, and I am here to talk about one thing. Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Season 1. Season 1 and Season 2 are very different, and you'll see why in the Season 2 review. But first, let's talk about Season 1. So, the first thing I have to address before I even talk about storylines and plot and so on is this. You see, Ghost in the Shell has become synonymous with one thing since the films: high budget quality of production. The reason I say that is because the films, both of them, advanced CG, or at least pushed it to its very limits of its time. They are extremely unique films and you must see them. Ghost in the Shell is a huge franchise and has gone through many iterations. Ultimately, each one is different. The films have nothing to do with the TV show, which has nothing to do with the manga. But in the end, they all contain similar things. It's all about Section 9, a team of individuals consisting of cyborgs and humans with cyborg implants and so on, who solve crimes and are basically a sort of a mix between a SWAT team and a detective agency. They're just the ultimate police force, mixed with a very cool cyberpunk setting. Ghost in the Shell is just cyberpunk through and through. It revels in cyberpunk. It's beautiful for its cyberpunk, and if you haven't heard of cyberpunk, then I recommend you watch Ghost in the Shell. If you like things like The Matrix, for starters, it's immediately quick to say Ghost in the Shell is for you immediately. Why? The setting, the love, the coolness, the action, it's all there. That is Ghost in the Shell. Matrix was heavily inspired by Ghost in the Shell, and so if you like The Matrix, it's immediately easy to say you'll like Ghost in the Shell, at least the films. But we're talking about the TV series, Standalone Complex Season 1. And, well, we have to say this. Ghost in the Shell pushes boundaries for animation quality. Ghost in the Shell Innocence pushes boundaries. Standalone Complex doesn't. Not even close. It just didn't have the budget. And that's fair enough. Production IG took a risk making a 26-episode series on TV with Ghost in the Shell. It's fair enough to say that they may have not put all of their budget in it. But can it get out of this problem? Because the fact is, that's the thing that we associate Ghost in the Shell for. Some clever writing, a lot of philosophical ideas, and its animation. Now, what this series doesn't have as much of is that philosophy. It's much more about the characters, the emotions that they're going through, and the people as a team rather than Motoko's journey. Ghost in the Shell has always been about Motoko Kusanagi, a kind of badass member of Section 9 who's full cyborg, completely prosthetic body, but she's a capable leader who goes through a lot of different things. Anyone who's seen the films, it's fair to say this is nowhere near that storyline at all. It does not follow the Puppet Master. Instead, it follows what's known as the Laughing Man. Now, first, I need to say two things. One, I have not seen the OVA. Okay, that's got to be said. I have not seen the OVA. And even though this is 26 standard-length episodes long, that's 23 minutes approximately per episode, not all of them are dedicated to this Laughing Man idea. Unlike a lot of series which either chooses to have its episodes nothing to do with each other until perhaps at the very end when they do a small saga, or have an entire interconnected series, this clearly separates between the two. Whenever it introduces an episode name, it will say immediately whether it's standalone or complex. Standalone episodes have nothing to do with the main plot, although occasionally they can lead to small clues as to what's going on in the main plot. But basically, they've got nothing to do with the main plot, while complex episodes are all about the Laughing Man. There's about half and half of each, so you get enough good individual adventures of some characters and so on, and then you get a very good conspiracy-based plot line about trying to find this one man who hacked into certain things. I don't want to spoil any of the complex plotline for you. While it is confusing, and while it may take a couple of tries to really get used to what's going on, because it's a very complex story, especially when interweaved with all these standalone episodes where occasionally you can feel a bit distracted by them, there is a very complex, interweaving, clever plot here. And it's fair to say that it all comes down to a few things. For starters, the thing about it is that there's no weakness in the standalone episodes, and there's no real weakness in the complex episodes. What there is to say, though, is that if you're going through the complex episodes, while I do recommend that you just buy the DVD and watch it all the way through, having the standalone episodes there can be distracting. You can forget major plot points. And while sometimes, you get reminded of them, it usually expects you to be keeping up. That's a problem. It's just part of the pacing of it. Especially, I can't imagine what it was like in the original thing when there was, a week between each episode in the original run. I cannot imagine being able to remember that when there's occasionally sort of 2 weeks separation between when we get to the main storyline. And that's a problem when you've got a very complex storyline going through. Maybe it may have been better for them to put all their standalone episodes in the beginning, all their complex episodes in through at the end. However, it is fair to say it does make you on your toes at all time, looking for clues for the complex story. And perhaps that goes to its strength. It's very intriguing and it's very cool. And the strength of the series is the characters in the world. Well, admittedly, only a few main characters are really given highlight in this series, namely Batou and Motoko are given the biggest, with a couple of bits on Togusa. You really don't get a feel for the whole team, and that's a major weakness for something like Ghost in the Shell. While Ghost in the Shell, the film, didn't have the screen time, so it had to exclusively focus on Motoko Kusanagi, it is fair enough to say that this had enough screen time to give it enough chance to focus around on more and more people. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it though. One of my favourite characters is Batou from the series, and I've always loved Batou because he doesn't have eyes, he's hard and he's cool. And it's fair to say that, and I'm just going to say now, he has the best episode. In Season 1, Episode 10, A Perfect Day for a Jungle Cruise. If you can stomach it, because it is grimdark. It is a dark episode, talking about the Second Vietnam War and the horrors of war. It is both a bit gross and very, very dark and admittedly hard to watch. But it's the best episode. And it is so well done. It's a story of redemption, a story of revenge. It is almost the perfect 23 minutes of anime. Despite some lower animation quality, and especially with the whole Motoko suit thing, there is a point where you have to admit that some of it was a bit fan-servicey, especially making Motoko's suit look like that. They did rectify this in Season 2, but it's fair to say that especially some of the shots in the first episode start to get on your nerves slightly. The fact is, you get to see how the team works being all cool, and you get to see how the team talks. However, that may be a weakness to some people. If you're looking for just a cool action fest, even though it looks like it, this isn't for you. When you get your cool action moments, you need to have a fair bit of patience and intelligence when watching this show. You've got to be thinking about what's coming next, and there are entire episodes of just talking. There's an episode which takes place in a chat room for 23 minutes. It's intriguing and it's brilliant. But if you are just looking for an action show, you are not going to find it. You'll have moments of enjoyment, but you may be disappointed at the payoff as well, because the end payoff isn't about a huge action set piece. It's about the sort of, the consciousness and the importance of deliberation and talking. And it's fair to say that you can get lost in all of these words. It's all very, and I hate to use the term, complex. The complex episodes are complex, and they can occasionally be confusing. And that's one of the weaknesses of the show. The fact is that while I enjoy the fact that it does not pander down to the viewer in any way, it's fair enough to say that sometimes the viewer can get very easily lost in what's going on. Not because it's poorly presented, because it's presented in a manner that most humans can't comprehend. I get it's a thinking man's show, but it's something that really should be enjoyed by anyone. The fact is that you'll get, in Ghost in the Shell, the film, because it's only 90 minutes long, you get different levels out of it. You get your main action level and you get the more philosophical level, and depending on how you're thinking about it. This one, because of the screen time, it's fair to say that some people are going to be deterred. However, if you're in the mood for an intelligent, cool show with some great action scenes and some great characters, and let's just say it now, Tachikomas are amazing, and admittedly, while some of the pacing can be all over the place with the standalone and the complex episodes, you're still going to have fun, I think. You're still going to enjoy it, and it's something I highly recommend. It's Ghost in the Shell. Whether the animation quality is great or not, even though we know it for pushing boundaries of animation, it is kind of unfair for me to say that's the only reason we know it. Fact is, the writing has always been intelligent, and it's always been a very, very clever show. And I think it's a fair enough appeal to say you should watch this. There is no reason for you not to watch this. This is a classic. Okay, Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, despite some of its flaws, it's a classic. It's got music by Yoko Kanno of Cowboy Bebop fame, so the music's great for starters, and the animation, while a bit choppy, is still okay. It's bearable, and if you don't get in your head that this is all about great animation and action set pieces, then you're going to enjoy yourself a lot more. You're going to have fun, and it's going to be cool. Fact is, Ghost in the Shell is always known for being cool, cyberpunk, but very collective and thoughtful, and this does keep that. A lot of people complain that it's not as philosophical, and that's fair enough, because it makes a lot more of its ideas based on the plot itself rather than the philosophy surrounding the characters and the plot. But it's still interesting, and if you don't get lost in it, you'll have a lot of fun watching it. That was my review of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Season 1. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and stick around for a second gig review. I can tell you now, it's entertaining. The show is, not the review. Or is the review? Who knows? Are we entertaining? Leave a comment in the section below. We're entertaining. Also, tell us what you think about the show, Standalone Complex Season 1, and what you think it compares like to Season 2. Try and keep spoilers out for people who are watching this as advisory. Make sure to subscribe if you like this. Make sure to like if you like this, obviously. And I'll see you guys next time. Have fun. Bye.